Oh yeah. Okay.
I want to be like them.
Welcome to my favorite murder.
Well, they would go, that's Naz LeMay, and you would say, that's Joy
Oh,
LeMay.
that's Joy. Okay.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. That's Joy LeMay.
Stupid.
I know.
Okay, anyways, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the episode of this
Nazareth
title.
Kramer?
The episode of this title. Don't say my full name. You're not my mother.
But it's a cute name.
The title of this episode is "Take This Job and Shove It,"
Okay.
because some of y'all need to get the hell out of Dodge, wherever you are.
Sure.
We have a lot of friends, family, people that are in toxic work environments that should leave and want to leave, but they don't even make efforts to leave. They're not like actively looking for a new job. They're not actively trying to get out of the situation they're in, but they're constantly miserable, constantly complaining. Were with somebody yesterday
You're
that
going
was
to call her out?
no, but somebody's boss was over, on holidays, weekends, constantly hitting them up on text. This is important. You need to do that, and just
Yeah.
not, the boundaries weren't there,
Yeah.
and we were trying to, help her out. But why do you think people stay in environments that they don't feel valued? They feel stepped on.
The answer is one word. It is safe.
Mm.
Because it is safer to stay with the devil you know than to leave and potentially get a worse devil. I think that they're not thinking, oh, if I go to another job, I'll be in greener pastures. They're like, I'm trading, like a work environment is always the devil, and I'd rather stick with the one that I know.
Interesting. I remember early on, I remember having a very passive aggressive boss, and I was, sort of always on edge. And whenever he got upset, I would get, anxious and nervous. Like, am I gonna get fired? Am I gonna do this? And one day it just kind of, actually, I was talking to a friend, and he kind of said, like, screw him. Like, he can't do anything to you without you letting him. And it kind of dawned on me that, like, oh, the only reason this person's my boss is because I'm allowing them to be.
Yeah.
And I could leave at any moment. Obviously, you need to work, you need a job, but I could look for another job. I could, make moves to leave at any time that I feel like this isn't serving me anymore emotionally, financially, at any point.
Yeah.
And so that really made me kind of not really care when he got upset anymore as much, because it was that I had the power in a way. Like, he technically had authority over me, but only because I granted that by working there.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so I think about that. Obviously in the salon industry, you deal with a lot of your students, people we've had in our salons that stayed way too long at old jobs where they were being abused or, and treated awful.
Right.
And we, hopefully, they help them make the decision sooner to get out.
Right. I hope if you were watching this episode, I hope that you just saw our cat put her little leg out. Oh, it's so freaking cute. Sorry about that segue, but I don't know, trail. But I agree. I think that somebody only has authority over us if we allow them to. And I think the first step is to really recognize, like, your own power and your own, basically that your consciousness, your thoughts are what create the reality around you. And so if you think that this is the only thing that you deserve, if you think that you can only receive good things when it's really hard and difficult and you have to suffer for the good things in your life, those are all your own beliefs. Those are all just thoughts. There's nothing tangible to those things. You get to create the world that you live in. And yes, you might go like, well, I can't just like quit right now. I've got kids to take care of and I've got a job, I need bills to pay, etc. but you can change your mentality the same way. So now it's like you stayed in that job.
Yeah.
You stayed with that boss.
And eventually he left.
Eventually he left, so you got another boss, I think you've had 2 more since then, so, but the idea is like, nothing changed, like, physically.
Correct.
You stayed in that job, you stayed in that desk, you
Yep.
kept getting the same paycheck, but your consciousness changed around, am I going to allow this person to have an impact on my moods, my mindset, how I feel about myself? And that was what changed. And I think that if anybody here is listening to this and you're in a similar situation, you can change your consciousness and your mindset today. And then out of that new consciousness, do you stay? Do you leave? Do you start looking for a new job? Do you open up your own salon? Do you, go work for yourself somewhere? Like, all of that can only happen when you change your mindset and your consciousness around it. So I think that is ultimately the biggest lesson that anybody can learn.
Yeah, and I want to a little bit talk about loyalty too, because I think a lot of people feel like they owe something to their employer. Like, well,
do you think you owe a lot to? Do you think that that's because you've been with your company
for a long time,
for a really long time?
Yeah.
And you never look for another job, like because you're happy there, and you're totally happy there. We are happy there.
Well, I know that working in a corporate environment, and not just corporate, but any business, a lot of businesses, I'm a number on a page. I'm numbers on a page, and as soon as those numbers are no longer beneficial to that company, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I don't consider that a negative. That's just a reality of business, right?
Sure.
So the personal relationships I have there are separate. The idea of even in a salon, it's like, you train people, right? But you don't have the expectation. I trained you, so now you owe me. You need to be loyal to me because I've been loyal to you. It's like, no, that's already starting off on a toxic foot. But so I know that. And so am I going to work hard? Does that mean I don't work hard? Does that mean I don't? No, it's the company is serving me and I'm serving them.
Yeah. And
it's a relationship that when it no longer serves one or the other, it's going to be over. And that's okay. And then we move on. But I think the idea, I've heard countless times over the years at many different jobs, someone gets let go, someone gets laid off. And in their parting words to the person are, oh, you worked weekends, you worked nights, you were always available, and so we thank you for that. But what happened? They still got let go. They still got laid off. For all that loyalty that they had to their company or to their boss, it still is a numbers game, and it still didn't keep them from losing their job.
Totally.
And that doesn't mean you don't work hard.
Right.
It just means you can have boundaries. You can not denigrate yourself to taking abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do that to be a good employee.
Right.
And that's so. If you're in a position like that, if you're saying, "I'm just looking for a sign to leave," because we hear a lot of people go, "Oh, yeah, I'll leave when in February I have this to do," or "Yeah, I know, but I think it'll get better when this happens," or "Yeah, but." And it's like
a lot of allowances.
A lot of allowances that keep going month after month, year after year, where it comes to a point where you're like, stop letting yourself get abused. Yeah. You're not happy. You can change it. Start by changing your mindset.
Yeah.
And move forward.
Yeah, and from what I've seen with a lot of my students is as soon as you change that mindset, it almost is like a miracle, because then all of a sudden somebody calls you up and is like, hey, I got a job, I got a spot that I need to rent, there's just opportunities that will just show up when you start looking for them. So I think it's really important to have that mindset open. And I'll take this time and challenge you, even though you're super happy where you are, and we love the company that you're with, and they've been very good to us over the years, keep an open mind of something even better could be around the corner, so being open to other possibilities as well, because I think that safety net of, I know what it is, I know what's expected of me, I know my job, you know, it's like, that's the part that keeps us kind of complacent. I'm not saying that you are, but I think it's the part that goes like, oh yeah, I don't want to try something new, but we never know what kind of growth could be around the corner if we just like open ourselves up to it.
Can't grow where you're planted sometimes.
No. All right.
See you next time.
See you next week. Goodbye.